Quality of Character, Commitment by Ricky Sharp, MCA 530, Ethics in Sport, due August 1st, 2021. Now, seeing my first slide, you may wonder, why is there a picture of a person putting their toe into the water? Well, we all know that before you jump into water, ultimately you want to know how cold is it's going to be. You want to know if it's going to be comfortable when you go in. You want to know that before you jump in because you don't want to be shocked once the water hits all of your body. But as we know in life, we don't always have the opportunity to test the water. And so as you can see on the next slide, we don't get into something to test the waters. We go in to make waves. That's the way that life needs to be when you make a commitment. A quick Google search and you will see the commitment is defined as the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or activity, etc. It's a pledge or undertaking. It is an engagement or obligation that restricts freedom of action. What commitment looks like to me? To me, it's about the action. It's about the effort. It takes 100% of everything you have when you commit to something. And what that means is every day that you show up, whether it's an everyday commitment or if it's 3 times a week, whatever that is, you give everything that you have of yourself, all of your energy, all of your passion, and when you think you're done, you give a little bit more. It's about accountability. Now, depending on, we'll get into the different types of commitments later, but depending on who else is involved in that commitment, you have to be accountable to them. If you're leading a group, you have to be accountable to that group. If it's a commitment between you and a partner, then you have to be accountable to that partner. And there's also a commitment to yourself. You have to be accountable to yourself and handle your responsibilities. And when doing so, you have to be relentless. You have to have that passion about whatever you're committing yourself to. You have to be able to fight through adversity and not let anything get in your way. In life, as we know, 1,000 things are going to happen, and we can make 1,000 excuses and let those stop us from achieving our goals and dreams, but we have to be able to overcome those. Now, when I knew we needed to use a movie clip, the first movie that came to my mind, maybe I had recently watched it, I'm not sure, but it was The Pursuit of Happiness, when Will Smith is playing a character named Chris Gardner. Now, in this movie, it's a true story. Chris Gardner, he fought through a ton of adversity, a ton of struggle throughout his life. He was having relationship troubles. He was having financial troubles. Maybe those led to some of the relationship troubles. And he wasn't able to provide for his family. And him and his girlfriend or wife, they broke up. And it made him and his son were on their own. They faced a few, they were staying in hotels, motels. Sometimes they weren't able to pay the rent, and they were homeless for some parts of their life, staying in homeless shelters, doing different things like that. There were points where he had to stay at, the subway station, in the bathroom, and he had to do everything he could do just to survive. But he makes a commitment to go and get a job. He wants to be a broker at one of these firms, and he made a commitment to himself. And in this clip, you can see the adversity that he faced just in this, in the small picture. He was arrested the day before, and he was in jail overnight, but he knew that he had a job interview that he had to get to. So once he was able to get out of jail, he ran from the station and he made it to his interview. Although he wasn't dressed the way he wanted to be dressed, presented himself, he nailed the interview because he showed all of those great characteristics that he had. He's a man of character. Like I said, he put his effort into everything, and he ended up getting hired for the job. He then went on to become one of the most successful brokers, and it's just a great story. If you ever have a chance to watch it, you want to see that, and this is what commitment means to me. Great example. Now, place of work, employment, that's one of the big or common societal commitments. And then 2 other ones that we'll talk about. marriage, and I'm going to keep this kind of lighthearted, so I don't want to go into like divorce rates and things like that. But as we know, some people actually commit and are able to keep their commitments in marriage, and some aren't. But again, to keep things lighthearted, we are going to also talk about another huge commitment that everybody makes is New Year's resolutions. Come January, if you've ever been to the gym, if you're a normal gym goer, you know how the gym looks when it's September, October, November, and then you compare it to the way the gym looks on those first few weeks of January. It's like you're at a nightclub. There's lines out the door sometimes, people signing up for memberships. And when we take a look at this, there was a study done by NPR that shows that, everybody makes New Year's resolutions. And what is it? A whopping 33% of people who made New Year's resolutions made resolutions about health and fitness. And that's great because people are trying to get their health straight. You want to take care of yourself. That's very important. But when we look deeper, are these people really committed? It says that after 2 months, 14% of people quit their gyms. That's not so bad. That's kind of, natural attrition. But when you keep going, you look at 5 months, 80% of people quit within 5 months. Now that's 4 out of 5 people. That's not great. That's not showing good commitment. Now, hopefully they just quit the gym. Hopefully they're still eating healthy or keeping other healthy habits, but there's no guarantee. So these people are not showing great commitment by doing that. Now, looking at coaching and athletic commitments, we'll talk about some current issues and things that maybe aren't thought of as commitments in athletics. But you'll see a picture of Simone Biles. She's currently in the news, and then LeBron James, one of the world's greatest athletes. And why I put them is because as coaches, as athletes, part of being in sports and with teams, it's often not thought of, but a lot of times you have to make selfish decisions. Now, part of commitment is committing to yourself. And being the best athlete you can be, you have to make that commitment so that you can better serve your team. So Simone Biles, she recently pulled out of several events during the Olympics, and a lot of people, thought that she quit on her team. She didn't hold that commitment. But LeBron James, similar, him and the player empowerment movement that's going on in professional sports, where players are taking control of their futures and thinking of themselves first, whether it's demanding trades to go to markets where they want to be so they can be more successful or closer to their family, whatever that may be. Players being more mindful of their mental health, what they need to be healthy outside of this game when they finish, whether it's currently or when they finish and they retire. They want to be able to be with their families and be healthy. That's the thing. Players must commit to themselves first before they commit to the team. And whether that, like I said, whether it's your mental health, whether it's the summertime, off season, and everybody, your friends, they all want to go out, and you have to commit yourself to, hey, I can't go out. I have to wake up tomorrow morning at 5:30 so I can get my workout in, and then you can say when season comes, I'll be in the best shape that I can be for my team. So on the athletic side, I inserted a few quotes, a few of my favorite quotes from Vince Lombardi. And the first one is, the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. And the second one is, the harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. And what those mean to me, like I said, whichever field or endeavor, you have to commit to it. And sometimes it's to the team, sometimes it's to yourself. It doesn't matter if it's marriage or whatever the type of commitment it is. There's 100 different things you can commit to, 1,000 different things, but you have to have that commitment to excellence, whatever it is. And from John C. Maxwell from Ethics 101, he says, where do you draw the line when it comes to keeping a promise? You probably have no trouble keeping it when it's convenient, but how about when it isn't? And that's what this is about. In conclusion, committing to yourself to be the best version of yourself is the first priority when you commit. You have to give 150%, and you have to overcome adversity. Because when you commit, you're either in or you're out. There's no life in between, and that's just the way it is. Thank you. This is Commitment by Ricky Sharp.